So we've talked about in the last few days that the wide receivers that the Patriots should be pursuing, right? And that's one of the top positions. It's not the top position that they need to be looking at, but it's the easiest one to talk about on the radio because it's a sexy position and you guys know the names, and so do I. We've talked through T. Higgins, Devontae Adams, probably, Chris Godwin, Amari Cooper, Cooper Kupp, I think still on the table, but in the future here as we get through free agency in a couple days. But really, the newest name on the market is a familiar one, the one that the Patriots almost spent a king's ransom for in the summer. He didn't want to come here. Now he might not have any choice. Todd McShay, Massachusetts native and obviously longtime football analyst, is saying he's hearing rumors about Brandon Aiyuk being traded from the San Francisco 49ers to the New England Patriots. There's been all kinds of drama with Aiyuk in his time in San Francisco, and we know that he wanted to become a free agent last year. He was on the tag, and then they ended up re-signing him. They get a nice cushy deal, and the rumors came out afterwards the Patriots were offering 3 years at $30 million a year to make him one of the highest paid receivers in the entire NFL. He didn't want to come here. And he didn't really love San Francisco from everything that we saw, but he re-signed with San Francisco. Now, a torn MCL and ACL later, they owe him $22 million on April Fool's Day. And they might be wanting to get rid of him. They already got rid of Deebo Samuel. The Niners are trying anything to save some money here. And Brandon Aiyuk may be the next one to go. I mean, we won't talk about the dumpster fire that the 49ers have become, but rather let's focus on the Patriots here. If you're the Patriots, this is a guy clearly you really liked last summer with the same scouting team. Whether it will be the scouting team after the draft, that remains to be seen, but this deal would be done before the draft. So this is the same group of people that loved Aiyuk in August when they were ready to give $90 million to him. And, you know, it should be in his prime, obviously at age 27. That gets, I mean, maybe that's different now that he's torn every major ligament in his knee in this past year. But he's 27 years old. He's made an all-pro team. He's had a couple of 1,000-yard seasons. On paper, it's exactly what the Patriots need at wide receiver. The only thing that's different, the only thing that's kind of a drawback is the fact that you already tried to get him and he didn't want to come here. And there are some people that I think are justifiably concerned with Brandon Aiyuk's real potential. You know, because here's a guy who's played in the Shanahan offense for his whole career. And there's just questions about whether those guys can thrive in another system and can thrive anywhere else other than San Francisco or playing for Kyle Shanahan. I think that's a fair criticism. But again, we talk about it the same thing with T. Higgins with the Bengals. It's like, yeah, we don't know if he can be a number one yet, but the Patriots don't even have a number two. So they might need to pay number one money to a number two and hope he becomes a 1.5 because Drake May is so good. Like that's what you got to hope for at this point if you're the Patriots. And Aiyuk, look, the numbers are the numbers, right? He's still pretty productive. He was having a good year last year, decent year last year. I think he had 25 catches through, 6.5 games before getting hurt. So that's the first thing you got to think about. When's he coming back? Tears his ACL, MCL in week 7. So you're probably getting him hopefully by the start of games. He's out there and kind of ready to go. Maybe more realistically, a month into the football season of actual games is when he's going to be available to be Drake May's top target. But I mean, again, if you're dealing with the talent pool the Patriots have right now, it's almost like you're gonna have to overpay. Like you are going to be paying probably one peg above what all these guys are. Because we don't know if T. Higgins is going to be a number one receiver, but it wasn't going to matter. You're going to have to pay him number one. Brandon Aiyuk, same thing. He's never really been the number one receiver in San Francisco, whether he's a better pure receiver than Deebo or not. He might have been the third option for San Francisco behind Deebo and Christian McCaffrey. That's kind of this whole thing of like, it's a much different offense and pecking order that he'd be playing in. By the way, Brandon Aiyuk and T. Higgins come in the same year, 2020. And since then, their numbers are pretty similar. Pretty similar for a guy in T. Higgins being, the number one, or was going to be the number one free agent wide receiver on the market, versus Brandon Aiyuk, who last year, a lot of other fan bases or a lot of other analysts outside of New England were saying, I don't know if I'd spend this kind of money on Brandon Aiyuk. They have roughly the same yards per reception, roughly the same amount of yards. Higgins has an edge in receptions by 36 over a 5-year span. So that's somewhat significant. Obviously, more rushing attempts for Aiyuk in that style of offense. And Ayuk's the only one of the two who's made the All-Pro team. Made the second team All-Pro in the last full season that he played in 2023 when he had well over 1,000 yards. Something the Patriots could only dream about. When was the last time they had a 1,000-yard wide receiver? Golly, it's been a long time. I might have to go back and find that. It's been a while since they've had a 1,000-yard receiver. So the best part about this for the Patriots, it's not going to cost you $30 million. In fact, it's not even going to be close to that. So if you can get Brandon Aiyuk here and he's any semblance of the player that he was in San Francisco, any semblance of an all-pro player, anywhere close to that, you're going to get him at a bargain. Because right now, it's being in a trade, you're probably talking about a day 3 pick here. A round 4 pick, probably, for a guy that is in the first year of his deal. They're desperately trying to get rid of, and he's off a major injury this season. I mean, I wouldn't say any more than a 3rd or a 4th round pick. And San Francisco is going to have to eat some of that salary. That's a definite. I don't know if it's going to be half the salary, but they're going to have to eat a chunk of that salary, which is $22 million as of April 1st. That's going to be way better than what the Patriots offered to get him in free agency. So this could end up being a win for the Patriots. And I kind of said this about, the recent days of Devontae Adams and T. Higgins and looking at some of these other guys that are available in free agency. Like with that kind of a budget cut there, you could get Aiyuk and Chris Godwin. 2 guys with real great potential that are still in their primes, but also both suffered major injuries in week 7 in 2024. Or, you go out and get one of those guys. You're not paying $30 million for them. You go out and get one of those guys, and then you get Cooper Kupp. And already that's such an upgrade right there versus paying $32 million a year for T. Higgins. And I like T. Higgins. I don't know if I like him that much, but that's kind of the nature of the game for the Patriots. You're going to have to overpay some guys. But if you can get Aiyuk in a combination of one of those other guys, those veteran guys who are on deal 3, Godwin, Kupp, Amari Cooper, guys like that, that's a major upgrade for your offense. And especially in the case of guys like Cooper Kupp and Amari Cooper, wrong side of 29, but haven't had major injuries in their career, like not enough that it would worry you as it would for, Godwin and Aiyuk, who are literally working off major injuries right now. I think it's a viable option for the Patriots. I agree with Todd McShay. Actually, Todd McShay just said he was hearing rumors. I didn't hear rumors, but I think that's a good way to go. Now, the obvious in the room is that wide receiver is not the biggest position of need. It is tackle. I would say left tackle, but it's also right tackle. I mean, they need both of those. They didn't have a single NFL caliber tackle last year. In fact, they might not have had a single NFL caliber offensive lineman last year. How have they attacked that position so far? Well, they already saw one of their best linemen from years gone by, Joe Thuney, get traded to the Chicago Bears for a 4th round pick. And now the report is that the Patriots were in on that deal potentially, but they wouldn't meet that asking price of a 4th round pick. And people are already up in arms. How do you not give up a 4th round pick for Joe Thuney? Look how effective this guy's been. And I get it. But you also got to take on the money that Joe Thuney's getting, which is what, $18 million? It was something that's too much for an interior offensive lineman. And if you're the Patriots, if you had tackles, that would have been a great route to go. And you need help at all 5 of the offensive line positions. But you're going to need to go out and pay a tackle It's not easy to take on that kind of salary for a guard, as good as he's been. So that leaves us with Ronnie Stanley. Going to be probably the top free agent tackle out there. Baltimore looks like going to let him get to market here. He's on the wrong side of 30, but he hasn't had a major injury history. And I think there's a lot of teams around the league that think he's still got something left in the tank, because according to Karen Garigian of Mass Live, the two teams that are going to be in on him in particular are going to be the New England Patriots and the Kansas City Chiefs. That usually spells bad news for the Patriots. And the Chiefs really need some help on that offensive line. The entire world saw it a couple of weeks ago, right? They saw what that Eagles defensive line did to them, bullied them. It's not as much of a need as it is for the Patriots, but let's put you in Ronnie Stanley's size 16 shoes for a second here. You've got two teams coming after you, similar money. The last real contract you're going to get, short money, big money, but short. 2-year deals, and it's going to be the New England Patriots, who have won 8 games in the last 2 seasons and play in Foxborough, Massachusetts, or the team that's won 3 Super Bowls in the last 5 years and just went to another one. If I'm Ronnie Stanley, which one am I going to pick? The only thing that would give the Patriots hope here is that the Patriots are more desperate, right? They're just more desperate. They don't have the quarterback that Kansas City has. They don't have the coaching that Kansas City has. And so the Chiefs, I think, would be looking at a guy at Ronnie Stanley's age and that kind of price tag. And if the Patriots give him, 22, 25 million, the Chiefs might be like, you know what? We'll take our chances with Pat Mahomes here. That's a real possibility. And again, like it is with any free agent out there, the Patriots' only hope is that they're going to give him way more money than the other teams would, because they have to overspend, because they have to just piss money away. They have to, or else no one will come there. And then the literally, like, the long-term goal of how the Patriots become a more attractive destination is they way overpay for some of these guys in this year and maybe next year, get them in here, raise the profile of the organization, have Drake May grow as they expect him to grow. And then maybe, just maybe, you get a situation like you had with Tom Brady or with Buffalo, that Buffalo has with Josh Allen, or even Green Bay with their litany of quarterbacks over time, that they say, wow, yeah, it is in the middle of nowhere. It's cold as holy hell, but they've got the quarterback. And because they've got a good quarterback, that means they've got good structure, right? Green Bay has always had great structure. Has it been because of the GM and the head coach and the offensive coordinator, or is it because the quarterbacks have been Hall of Famers? Buffalo, I like McDermott, but how much do you know, like, oh, wow, what a great organization? Because it wasn't for 20 years until Josh Allen got there and became a good football player. So that's what the Patriots can only hope for right now. And maybe it starts with Ronnie Stanley. Maybe it starts with Brandon Aiyuk. Maybe it starts with Devontae Adams. But you get some guy in here, you way overpay. They form something. The Patriots have some semblance of being a decent, adequate NFL football team. And then all of a sudden, guys saying, maybe I am picking between the Patriots and Team X. The Patriots, they're going to offer a little bit less, but this Drake May kid, look at this connection he's got with him. Or look at how Mike Vrabel's turned this thing around. Maybe I can compete for a Super Bowl if I play here. That's way down the line. But that's what it has to start with in this free agency window.
We are Rogue Media Sports.
Hey, thanks for stopping by. And if you like this video, be sure to give us a like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel a ton. You can follow me on Twitter here for some more outrageous Boston sports takes coming to you every weekday at noon Eastern time. And then after that, wherever you get your podcasts.
We are Rogue Media Sports.